Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. A man who has a voice that has X Factor. It's 1 in a billion. A man who's sold over 70 million records, and he's back on tour with UB40 this summer. And they just released a brand new red wine. Literally, it's a Bordeaux. It's stunning. It's $28.50. You can get it from Eminent Life by going online and putting that into Google. You can get tour tickets by going to UB40. And I'm delighted to say Ali Campbell joins us on the line now. How are you?
I'm very well, Alex. How are you today?
Do you know what? I'm great, and I love talking to you. We met about 10 years the first time at the BBC when we did our first face-to-face interview, and I said to you then, to have a voice that is instantly distinctive and have an audience that just love you for it must be a great thrill after all these years.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy that I've still got the voice, we're all getting on a bit now. I mean, I started UB40 back in 1979, when we were all babies. And I've been sort of touring and recording ever since, really. So I'm just lucky that my voice has stayed good,
Your show is an absolute party. I last saw you 2 years ago here in Las Vegas where we're recording today, and there you were with a packed audience as big as anywhere else in the world. I drove down the boulevard yesterday listening to Sunny, and there was Red Wine, Kingston Town. It's amazing, isn't it, how these tunes have lasted and people still love them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I tell you what, we're asked all the time, what's the secret to our longevity? How come we're still around? And it's because we chose the youngest genre of music, I mean, reggae only existed from about 1968. Before that it was rocksteady, and before that it was ska. So it was a very young music. It was only 11 years old when I started UB40, And so I think that's why we're still here, because reggae's universally loved, and we've been going, well, a lot longer than reggae has.
It's interesting. I was listening to how you do what you do, and it seems to me these aren't easy songs to sing for a start, but they're also revealing songs. You don't hide behind a microphone, do you? You're louder than the band, which is an extraordinary gift. It's almost operatic what you do.
I don't know. There's a beautiful DJ called Rodigan, and he was talking to me recently, and he said that my voice was cry. So I suppose that's what it is. It's cry. That's what people say anyway.
And let's be clear about this show that's going to start on the 19th of May. It's a party. You're going up to Inverness. You're going to tour the world again. It's fun, isn't it? From the second that beat starts and Astro and Mickey and the boys get together with that beat. And I don't know how we describe that beat, but you can't sit down. You got to move.
Well, we go to party, and we hope that the audience comes to party with us. In fact, we know that they come to party with us. We're still packing them out all these years later. And like I said, it's up because we're brilliant. It's because it's reggae music, and you can't keep still to reggae music, It's the perfect festival music, and it's the perfect outdoor music. And UB40, we had 40 top 20 hits in the 80s and 90s, So we can rock up more or less anywhere in the world, and people will know all the songs that we sing, So that's another advantage, really.
And I've been doing the research, and you're now in your mid-30s, Ali. How difficult is it getting through these gigs and tours? Because, you're not as young as you used to was, and you still look like you love every second.
Well, yeah, we love the covers that were so successful. We covered those songs in the first place because we loved them,
Yeah.
And out of the 24 albums I've made, 3 of those albums have been albums of covers, but they were so successful that people thought we'd become a covers band, and our other 21 self-penned albums sort of get a bit overlooked, even though our biggest selling album ever was the self-penned album called Promises and Lies.
Yeah. I spoke to you when you released that solo album, and 2 of the greatest songs I think that you ever recorded for me, He Ain't Heavy, I thought was wonderful, and She's a Lady. Again, you can bring something new to a classic song, and I think that's what you've always tried to do, isn't it?
Covers, that's what reggae's all about. Reggae came about because Jamaican people were listening to American music, R&B music. They didn't have their own stations, so all of the reggae that I grew up listening to, and I thought were all reggae hits, were in fact covers of R&B hits. So it's sort of part of reggae is to cover songs and do reggae versions. And you can do a reggae version to anything really, as long as it's got a 4/4 beat.
Could you do it to Agadoo for the next tour for me? It must be possible.
I could, but I wouldn't.
I think picking the songs is a great skill. It's the ones you turn down, it's the ones you pick. And I noticed during that live show, which is long, by the way, you do a wonderful show and give value for money. Every song is killer, isn't it? Is that important to you, and do you lose sleep over that?
Absolutely. I mean, I want it to be all killers, no fillers,
Yeah.
And luckily for us, we've had that many hits that we can just keep banging off. We do about 25 hits, and that's why it's a party, because everybody knows the stuff, and we're not self-indulgent. If we make a new album, we'll include a couple of songs, from the latest album, but generally we play a greatest hits set because we know that's what people want to hear.
And this is a slightly unsavoury question, but is there any point bringing out new albums now? I talk to artists who say they get a penny for every 1,000 they sell on Amazon or whatever. Is there much point releasing new music anymore, because the money you can earn live just outweighs it within one concert?
Well, back in the day, your CD was an advert for your gig, and now, your gig was an advert for your CD.
Right.
Now it's the reverse.
Yeah.
Your CD basically now is just an advert for your show, because there is no revenue in recordings anymore. I mean, there's a new format coming up, which is virtual reality. We recently filmed a show at the Dome, the O2 Dome, that we sold out in London, and we did that in virtual reality. And I think maybe that will be, the new format where people try and sell that and make money. But generally, live is where it's at now, and I'm lucky because we're known. UB40 are known as a live act.
Yeah. And what's your life like? Tell me about you. Firstly, are you well? Because I know the last time we spoke, we talked about the aches and pains and the fact that at the end of it, it's more than a workout doing your show. Are you well, firstly?
Yes, I'm very well. Well, wasn't I well last time we spoke?
Well, we were talking about the physical strain of getting through that show, and I don't think people quite understand the pressure not only on the voice and the mind, but on the body too. I mean, it's a hard work, isn't it? It's a job doing that show.
Well, it's definitely a workout, I mean, we're up there for 2 hours, and it's very hot, and we're jumping about,
Yeah.
And my guitar is probably the heaviest guitar on the market. It's an old Telecaster, which weighs a ton. But, I think that's, it's good for me cardiovascular. It is a workout, and it keeps us, it keeps us fit.
And I said to you last time, you know this about yourself, Ali, you are a sex symbol and delicious, and the ladies do like you. Does that ever get old?
Never. No, I'm just as delicious and gorgeous as I ever was.
And then do you still pinch yourself? I always ask this question. I know it sounds stupid, but when you're just driving down an average road somewhere on tour that you never expected to be a star in, I mean, if you're in Birmingham, all right, maybe there, maybe London, maybe anywhere in the UK, but if you're in the out of sort of South Africa and somewhere and you hear your song on the radio, do you still pinch yourself? Because it's a remarkable success.
It's a dream come true, isn't it? Especially to be touring the world, a couple of years ago, I was in the Solomon Islands, and we were in Papua New Guinea. But we were met in the Solomon Islands by these naked sort of bushmen as a welcome, and they had their bows and arrows and their spears,
Wow.
and feathers in their hair and through their nose and everything. And we followed them back to the airport, and then they all whipped out their panpipes and started playing UB40 songs.
No.
And it was ridiculous. And, I mean, it doesn't get madder than that. But it was lovely, and they were playing an enormous sort of panpipe. This guy had flip-flops, and he was hitting the ends of the bamboos, and he was doing 1 in 10, and it was just, what's going on?
It's like a moment for the Lion King.
Exactly. It was like a moment, I know that. This was played on for us, you know. But, you know, you wonder, where did these Stone Age men hear UB40, you know?
And is Red Red Wine the song that they're waiting for at the end? Is that always the finale?
Well, there isn't a biggest, actually. You know, Red Red Wine, Can't Help Falling in Love, Many Rivers to Cross, Kingston Town, they're all sort of show finishes if you want. But generally, we hold out for Red Red Wine just because that's the song that, you know, that people sort of recognise that is the UB40 anthem, you know. Probably because he had two lives, you know. It went to number one in 1983 all over the world, except for in America. And then 5 years later, it went to number one in America. So, you know, it happened all over again. And we went and played Madison Square Gardens and sold it out while we were number one. And the only other band to have done that is the Beatles. So we were very happy about that.
How extraordinary. Back in the day, if we go back 35 years, how fun was touring? How hedonistic was touring? What was that tour bus like? Because I'm a deeply unattractive man, Ali. I've never lived this life. Just give me an insight for a moment.
Well, you know, we were the party band of the 80s and the 90s, you know. We sort of, the press tried to give us a dour reputation, you know, because we did a lot of political stuff, you know. But of course we weren't dour at all. Anybody that knew UB40 and, you know, travelled around with us or, you know, came to any of our parties would know that we were complete denizens and libertines, and completely out of control, actually. You know, so I was very lucky. I spent all my adult life, you know, partying with all my friends, going around the world. You know, you can't really get any better than that.
Just extraordinary. And we just spoke of Red Red Wine, and there you are, bringing out a limited edition Red Red Wine to Bordeaux.
It took a very long time for us to bring it out, you know, 30 years. But, you know, the way I look at it, we were researching it. We were searching the wine for 30 years, so that when we did come out with it, we'd come out with a beautiful Bordeaux Superior, which is it's a Cabernet Franc and Merlot grape, a cuvée, which is delightful, actually. You know, I'm not that big on Bordeaux, but our friend came to see us, Jerome, and we tasted what he'd come up with, and we went, absolutely, we'll put our name to that. And it really is a lovely quaff, yeah. We like our red wines as well. We've done red winery tours, you know, in Australia and in New Zealand, and hopefully we're going to be doing wineries in South America as well. You know, we've done a few in California, obviously.
I do love the fact you know and care about this stuff, because it's easy to rape your audience when you're as popular as you are and bring out all kinds of crap. You've waited a long time for this. It's just under £30. You can get it from Eminent Life. You can go to their website. A huge launch party. I was looking at the photos earlier. And you're proud of it. I mean, this isn't something you're just putting your name to. It's something you really care about.
Absolutely. It's a lovely little bottle of wine, simple as that, you know.
Yeah.
And we have spent our lives touring the world and eating and, you know, drinking in the finest hotels and restaurants, you know. So we do know what we're talking about, you know. My favourite wine is a Pinot Noir. I think the New World Pinot Noirs are the best wines you can get now, and hopefully next year we'll be bringing out a Pinot Noir in a Hessian sack, or a hemp sack even.
Wow, brilliant. Well,
so look out for that one.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Eminent Life is the place to find out more. It's a limited edition, so get quick. The Red Red Wine Bordeaux Superior. And then we look at the new tour. Ali, Astro and Mickey back on the road from the 19th of May in Inverness right through the summer, and you'll be doing the festivals and all of that. Are you and the boys ready? How long does it take to rehearse now, or is it a walk in the park?
Well, you know, the band I've got around me are the best set of musicians I've ever worked with. I'd say that I've got the hottest reggae band on the road in the world at the moment. Yeah. And they're all such good players that we don't have to rehearse that much.
Wow.
I've added 3 new numbers to this set that we haven't been playing in the set that we've been sort of moulding for the last 3 years. So we had 2 days just to whip those into shape, you know. Back in the day, you know, we'd have months because we had our own studios in Birmingham. You know, we'd rehearse for like 6 weeks and stuff. And,
incredible.
You know, I mean, that was one of the reasons why UB40 did so well, because we were, you know, super rehearsed, and we approached it like a pop band rather than a reggae band. We didn't want a little red, gold and green show, you know. We wanted all the bells and whistles. And I think that's why UB40 did so well, actually, because we were so well rehearsed. But of course, that was because the old original band, we were all self-taught.
Yeah.
With the band that's with me, Asso and Mickey now, they're all seasoned players who played with all the reggae bands and all sorts of bands, actually, and they're fabulous. So no, we don't rehearse that much, but what we do is we tour all the time.
Yeah.
So,
you never stop, do you?
tight.
And where are you based now? I know the last time I spoke, I think you were still in the Caribbean most of the year. Are you back in the UK, or what's your life like globally?
Yeah, I live down in Christchurch, down by I'm looking at the Isle of Wight, basically.
Beautiful.
And I love it down here. We've got the cleanest beaches in Europe, and it's a very quiet little town. You know, I like to come home after I've been touring and just chill out. And everybody in this area is over 70 years old, so it's nice and quiet for me.
You're living in a care home, that's what you're saying, Ali. You're living in a care home.
Well, I might as well be. It's a very beautiful part of England.
Yeah, stunning.
And there's a lot of people that retire down here because it's so beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't miss being in London or Birmingham, you know. I like being in a nice little quiet sort of market town. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Little place called Muddyford, and I love it.
You never get drawn into that political stuff. Do you try and deliberately keep quiet about that? Because Birmingham has changed a lot. London's certainly changed a lot. It's not what it was like when you were growing up with the brothers. Do you care about that stuff now, or do you just get on and live your life down south?
Well, the thing is, you know, I do get back to Birmingham, you know, and I've got kids that still live there. And I do care about the politics of this country. I despair, you know, more than anything, you know. There's also the political situation in America, you know. I despair of that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm, if anything, more cynical, you know, now than I've ever been. And I'm politically aware. I follow what's going on. I just can't believe a lot of it, you know. I think I'm usually my mouth open.
It doesn't help with apathy, though, does it? I don't know about you. I get to the point where I've had to stop caring as much as I did because it's so heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, absolutely, you know. And the thing is that I grew up in a sort of very lefty communist background, you know. My father was a fully paid-up member of the Communist Party all his life. So political debate was something that I grew up with, you know.
Yeah.
And I was a very angry young man, you know, because of that. And I try not to be so angry now, you know. It's like holding hot coals, you know. You only burn your hands.
Yeah.
So I'm more mellow in myself, but I'm just as angry as I've ever been. And, you know, the lyrics that I write and the ones that I'm writing at the moment are just as vitriolic, actually, as anything else we've written, you know.
And I don't know whether it's anger. I think it's passion. You care, and there's nothing more beautiful than that, is there?
Yeah, well, I do care, yeah. You know, I've got 8 kids, and I care about their future, you know, as much as I care about mine.
What's that Christmas table like with 8 kids and 8 partners and 8 grandkids and all this, that and the other thing?
Well, it hasn't happened that often that we've all, you know, been together at the same... It has happened, and it's lovely when it does, you know, but I wish it could happen more often, actually.
Is that the greatest legacy for you, aside from the international tours, the global success, the phenomenal career in show business, when you have one of your kids walk through the door? Is that the thing that grabs your heart the most?
Of course, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when people say, you know, what's your favourite song? My answer is always, that's like saying, what's your favourite kid? You know, it's like, you love all your kids, don't you?
Which one is your favourite, though? You've got to have a favourite. Come on.
I'm blessed, you know.
Has all that stuff we spoke about last time gone away with the brothers? Because I know for a while there was a bit of upset there.
Oh, no, that's still acrimonious, and they're still trying to sue me, but failing miserably. And I'm just carrying on doing what I do, you know. The fan base was split, you know, for sort of 4 years, but it's been 9 years now, you know, since I left. And you know, they're voting with their feet now. You know, we're selling out stadiums all over the world, you know, and the dark side, as I call them,
Is there any hope you could forgive and forget? I mean, I know it's acrimonious and I know it's become legal, which is even more difficult, but we just want you to love each other and be back together because we care about you. Has it gone past that now?
Yeah, it has, because musically I'm a place where I've never been before. I'm the happiest I've ever been, you know.
Right.
So there's been no point in going, you know, in using the 5 other, you know, ex-members of the band, because they weren't so, you know, into reggae as I was. You know, I was the sort of the energy behind UB40 and the Labour of Love series and all that. You know, I chose those songs more or less.
But they're not just band members, are they? They're family, and that's tough too.
Yeah, but you know, they made that decision, you know, to betray me, if you like. But it's old news now, and I'm happy with my new band. Very happy. I
did say to your brother the last time I spoke to him, the unfortunate thing for UB40 is no matter what instruments are played by whom, the voice is Ali Campbell, and that's what people recognise. And I guess they can't take that away from you. You are the voice of UB40 as we recognise it on the radio, and that's a great gift for you, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, and so is Astro. You know, we were the two front men that, you know, that through the 80s and 90s had all the hits, you know, and you know, we're the ones that had the energy and the love for reggae. You know, there are several members of the old UB40 that weren't that bothered about reggae. You know, they just sort of liked it because I did.
I wish I could be you for just 10 minutes. You, have phenomenal talent. You have the voice given by God, and you have the ability to perform it for many, many decades. And last year we lost so many legends. You must look around you now and see you've made it, because to still be surviving at the top of your game, selling out huge arenas around the world, including Las Vegas, you're coming here later in the year. My God, what a remarkable, phenomenal career.
It's wonderful, you know, and it's 30 years old now, you know, and if you think about, you know, most bands have a lifespan of about 4 years, 2 albums, you know. So to be, you know, I'm on my 34th album or whatever it is at the moment we're recording, you know, what happens is if you keep making new CDs, you know, like you asked me earlier on, is it worth it? That's what keeps you relevant, you know. Right. The new stuff that we're doing now, I think he's bang up to date, and he's going to, you know, he's going to go down amazingly with not just our fans but everybody else. And that's what, you know, that's what it's all about for me. It's banging out music and getting people to like it, you know. In a generation of people that think likes on Facebook and followers on Twitter matter, you formed in a generation where it was all about the music, all about the voice, and all about the tunes. And my God, did you have some of those. Ali Campbell, thank you so much for your time. UB40 are back on tour from the 19th of May, 2017, with their summer tour going around the world. Over 70 million records sold. You can hear all of them back to back with Red Red Wine, which leads me to the new wine, the limited edition Red Red Wine Bordeaux Superior, which is apparently marvellous. If I say more nice things, will you send a case over, because I'm quite thirsty sat here? I'll ask Jen to send you a bottle, mate. UB40's Eminent Life Bordeaux is out now, $28.50. You can get it by going to their website, eminent-life.com, and you can get the wine there. Ali, thank you so much for your time. Okay, big love to everybody out there, and we'll see you all soon.